Hi, welcome back. You're watching Money, 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 and with us we have Mohit Gang, who's the CEO and co-founder of Moneyfront, and today we're talking about how to declutter or how to simplify our financial life and whether or not it can reap benefits. So we've already spoken about how simple too can get you results, and we have some more hacks. But one of the things which Mohit proves to be a big headache for people is that, when they have outstanding loans, right? So how does one plan to sort of cut debt in a meaningful way that, you don't sort of end up, sacrificing everything else, plus you don't have sleepless nights because you have debt outstanding?
Right. Look, I think Sumaira, most of us start our lives in negative, our earning careers in negative, which I mean to say is we start by paying off our educational loans, which we would have picked up for our higher education, so on and so forth, right? There are very few fortunate ones who start life with a zero base or with a positive base, as in the earning career. So everyone has to go through this cycle of debt. Now, look, debt is bad, but all debt is not bad. Debt which is useful is the one which you take for building, which is more like towards a capex or capital expenditure, which is more like building an asset. So for your education, it's like building an asset which repays you back throughout your earning career, right? Or you buy a house. It's a capital expenditure. It's more for your peace of mind and stability and so on and so forth, right? So you have to pick up those debts sometimes in your life. Debt which is bad is the one which you pick up for discretionary things, which you pick up for your lifestyle, which you pick up, let's say, to travel, you want to, or you pick up for your personal shopping, or you pick up those debts on your credit cards and your personal loans and so on and so forth. Those are blasphemous, honestly. Anything in debt which is above 9%. Now, again, this is not a thumb rule. It will change with time and era, with interest rates and so on and so forth. But broadly speaking, anything which is over 9% to me is poisonous, right? And those personal loans debts, which are at around 12, 14, 16, 18%, those are obnoxious. So one has to be very careful why he's picking up debt. If it is for building an asset, then please, more than welcome, go ahead and pick it, but don't pick it beyond your paying capacity, which means that within that 50, 30, 20 rule, you should not over allocate, and that 50 should not be stretching and eating up into your investment corpus, basically. So the debt EMI has to settle within that 50 plus 30, 80 rupees component of your saving habits, right? And anything which is beyond that rate, or which is a credit card or a personal loan, should be clearly avoided, right? And that's more about on net.
Okay. What about a Provident Fund? I know you recommend it. Does it move the needle enough?
Oh, look, I've been, for all my 20 years in this investing business, I've been a big advocate of personal PF and PPF, basically. To me, a rate of 8% tax-free is godsend. Honestly, it's like 12% pre-tax, basically, which is what most of us take our assumptions in building equity portfolios to start with, right? So if you're getting that for the life of yours, and with a sovereign guarantee, there's nothing which can beat the comfort and the economy of it, right? And the whole good part is, Sumaira, your earning career or your salaried career will be, let's say, 35 years, from age 25 to age 60. You will not even realize that saving in that PF with that kind of an interest rate, it creates magic with compounding. For a 35 long years, the whole corpus which you accumulate will be huge and massive, and will be a big support system for your retirement. So that's personally a retirement corpus. Similarly, PPF, though only 1.5 lakh rupees is allowed per individual per financial year. But I think if you keep making that contribution, rates again currently are 7, but at a long term, you can very well assume that it will hover between 7 to 8, basically, right? Tax-free rate again is massive. Right. And the kind of corpus which you build through these instruments, you don't realize it. It keeps building at the back of it. And because it is not in front of your eyes, you don't tend to dabble in it and don't tend to withdraw it. One ground rule here is, when a person changes his or her job, you should not withdraw the PF. Please. I think that's the most, what do you say, that's the biggest error I have seen in my personal career, that people, when they switch jobs or hop jobs, they withdraw their PF and then start afresh with the new job. That's wrong. You should transfer your PF, please, and let it accumulate behind and see the power of compounding.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned compounding because, over time, if we allow it to happen, it can really add up, right?
Oh, totally. Totally. I think it's not without a reason that you called it the eighth wonder of the world, right? And very simply speaking, human brains are not wired to do geometric progression. Human brains are wired only for arithmetical calculations. And just to simplify, what I'm trying and saying out here is that if I were to ask you what is 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, you will keep answering and it can keep going on. But if I ask you what is 6 into 6 into 6 into 6, perhaps each one of us will fail at the third or the fourth level, right? So that's geometric because our brains are not wired to think in a multiplicative way. We can't understand the implications of compounding. But if you leave your investments untouched, if you leave it for years put together, the economy of it and the rate at which it will grow for you is magic. And Sumera, I was seeing one of your Instagram videos recently where you said 1 rupee every day for 30 days, or you'll prefer 5 crore upfront, right? And you so clearly got out the benefit of compounding. So I think those are smaller things which people should appreciate, that they should just leave their investments and not try and tinker around with it on a daily basis.
Yeah, if at all, like you have suggested, maintain a small tactical portfolio, right, which you can sort of use to, what can I say, use to take more risky bets?
Oh, yeah, totally. So look, I think for investors, what we personally advise is you go with 90 rupees of strategic allocation and 10 rupees of tactical, which I call it your casino money, right? You can just play around with and try your luck. Investing more often than not is a game of luck and not so much of skill. The 90 rupees, which is a strategic allocation, I'll just try and quickly give a broad framework for it. Basically 70 out of it, which is 70% of that 90 should go into equities. 30% of that 90, the remaining 30 has to be divided between debt and gold to some extent. I personally believe in preserving some amount with gold also. So 10% in gold and 20% in debt. But this is not a fixed criteria for everyone. It will change as per your personal circumstances and your personal liabilities and so on and so forth. But this is a very broad framework. The 10 rupees of tactical allocation, again, as I said, is your play money. You can just go out there and try some trading punts or try whatever new products you want to gamble with. If it plays well, keep playing with it, but don't mix the two pots. Basically, that's the whole thing. You can't interchange the two pots, which means if you're losing money in tactical pot, you should not withdraw from your strategic pot and move it to tactical. And if your tactical money keeps growing, let that pot increase and just keep increasing that, but keep these two separate bank accounts, two separate demat accounts or whatever you want to call it, but keep these two pots separately and run it separately.
Okay. And just one final question, Mohit, because, we spend so much time discussing what to do that sometimes we forget what not to do. So what's in your not to do list?
Sumera, look, I am a big fan of Roger Federer, and I can't stay away from commenting about him. I keep Roger Federer right behind me every time, basically. So 25 years of career is not built without avoiding mistakes, right? You have to stay fit through the course, and you have to avoid making mistakes. Same with investments. If you want to run your journey for 25, 30, 35 years, you have to avoid mistakes. You have to avoid high cost products. You have to avoid exotic products. You have to avoid insurance, which is linked with investments. That's the most blasphemous product I've ever seen in my life, basically. And you have to avoid anything which is complex. If you can't understand it, if it is too good to be true, it definitely is too good to be true. So just avoid it. The more you avoid, just keep avoiding everything. Just stay put with very basic, simple products which you can understand: your PF, your EPF, your PPF, your mutual funds, your SIPs, small amount of stock portfolio which you're very confident of. And that's about it. It will make a whole lot of money for you if you stop avoiding these, stop tinkering around with it and keep at it for 25, 30 years of your life. Avoid these mistakes and you will have the greatest compounding benefit one can ever reap, and a huge corpus for your good and healthy retirement.
All right, Mohit, thanks very much for joining in with these great insights. So, keeping it simple is not always, unfruitful. Boring can actually get you the results that you desire. With that, we'll wind up on this edition of Money, Money, Money. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.